Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bolo Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Yeah. And very nice to see you. I'd like to sing something. Can someone give me a book, please? Weirdly, that doorbell's the same doorbell as I've got at home. I keep thinking, who's at the door? So, page 171. Thank you. Hari Hari befale janama goynu.
Hari Hari befale janama goynu.
Manusha janama paya Radha Krishna nabajiya. 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 Janiya shuniya vishakainu.
Janiya shuniya vishakainu.
Janiya shuniya vishakainu.
Janiya shuniya vishakainu.
Olokera prema dana Harinama Sankirtana.
Golokera premadana Harinama Sankirtana.
Golokera prema dana Harinama Sankirtana.
Golokera premadana Harinama
Sankirtana. Rachina janilo kena sa. Rachina janilo kena sa. Rachina janilo kena sa.
Rachina janilo kena sa.
Sansara bishanale Dibanishiya jale.
Sansara bishanale
Dibanishiya jale. Sansara bishanale Dibanishiya jale.
Sansara bishanale Dibanishiya jale.
Judaite na koino upai.
Judaite na koino upai.
Judaite na koino Nandana Jai Sachi Sutta Hoilo Se
Rajendra Nandana Sutta Hoilo Se
Rajendra Nandana Jai Sachi Sutta Hoilo Se
Rajendra Nandana Sachi Sutta Hoilo Se
Balarama Hoilo Nitai
Balarama Hoilo
Balarama Hoilo Nitai
Balarama Hoilo
Hina Hina Jata Dilo Hariname Udarilo
Hariname Udarilo
Hina Hina Jata Dilo Hariname Udarilo
Hina Hina Jata Chilo Hariname Udarilo
Harashakti Jagamadhai
Harashakshi Jagamata
Harashakti Jagamadhai
Harashakshi Jagamata
Aha Prabhu Nanda Sutta Vrishabhanu Sutta Juta
Vishabhanu Sutta Juta
Aha Prabhu Nanda Sutta Vrishabhanu Sutta Juta
Prabhu
Karuna Karo Ebaro
Karuna Karo Balo
Karuna Karo Ebaro
Karuna Karo Balo
Narottama Datsakoi Nateli Aurangapal
Narottama Datsakoi Nateli Aurangapal
Narottama Datsakoi Nateli Aurangapal
Narottama Datsakoi Nateli Aurangapal
Oma Bine Ke Ache Amara
Oma Bine Ke Ache Amaro
Atoma Bine Ke Ache Amara
Atoma Bine Ke Ache Amaro
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna. And welcome everyone. I read in the Evening Standard some years ago. They had an article, 10 most boring jobs in London, and amongst the 10, I don't know which one it ranked at, was lyrics writer for the Hare Krishnas.
Lord.
Because people think, they just chant Hare Krishna, and that's what they do. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
That's the main.
But
the main key.
But if you study the songs of Narottam Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Lochan Das Thakur, etc., you'll find that there's very deep meaning to those songs, and that you can say they are the lyrics writers for our Hare Krishna movement. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, almost 200 years ago, Narottam Thakur, about 400 years ago, and also Lochan Das Thakur. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Chaitanya, who is our worshipable Lord on the altar there, he inaugurated this Sankirtan mission, the movement of Sankirtan, 500 years ago, going into the streets and marketplaces of Navadvip in India, and initially just clapping his hands and singing Hari Haraye Nama Krishna, Jadavaya Namaha, and Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And from there, a great revolution began. He was experiencing great ecstasy in loving separation from Lord Krishna and our Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj. He said that that ecstasy came out in the form of singing. It was an expression of his ecstasy, singing, and the movement that was inspired by that came out in the form of dancing. So singing and dancing, but not ordinary singing and dancing that you find, in the nightclubs and discotheques of the world. But this is an expression of transcendental joy, and we find that in more or less in every scripture of every religion in the world. Go into the streets, make a joyous sound in praise of the Lord. So this is in essence what Sankirtan is, and it invokes an inner awakening within the heart of the chanter and the hearer also. And inaugurated by Sri Chaitanya, who we consider an avatar of Krishna, an incarnation of Lord Krishna himself, come as his own devotee to teach us the spiritual practice for this age. According to the Veda, there are 4 ages that revolve in a circular way, just as we have, here 4 seasons: the spring, summer, autumn, winter, and they revolve around and around. So similarly, the universe has a cycle, universal cycle, 4 ages. That is Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga. then Satyuga, which is considered the golden age of mankind, people were absorbed in spiritual cultivation. In fact, and in that time, what we understand from the Vedic literature, that in the Satyuga people lived for thousands of years. They could live for 3,000 or 4,000 years. And during that time, they would utilize their time exclusively for cultivating their spiritual life. There wasn't even marriage. There was no family life or anything like that. Everyone was just absorbed in the search for spiritual realization. And there were children, progeny, but it was not like it is now. There were particular people who undertook that. Prajapatis, the progenitors of mankind. And only in the next stage, Treta Yuga, was marriage introduced, because before that there was no seduction in the world. Successively, the ages become a little less enlightened and a little more degraded. So after Satya Yuga, where people spent their entire time for the cultivation of their inner spiritual life, in Treta Yuga, then some different method of self-realization. That was by doing all kinds of sacrifices. And those sacrifices were mystical. So, we hear about, in many cultures, the sacrifice of animals to God and all that. If you're a Christian and you've read in the Bible, you'll find there are many examples in there. But when John the Baptist, who was preparing the way for Jesus, we find in the Bible, he was followed by crowds of people. They thought him as the Messiah until Christ appeared. They're thinking he's the Messiah. And they're always asking, "Oh, Rabbi, tell us something, give us something, some spiritual wisdom." And at that time it was very popular, sacrificing goats and all of these things in the name of religion and name of God. And John, who was a follower of the Essenes order, he told the mobs that were following him, the crowds that were following him, "Your God is sick of your burnt offerings. Your hands are covered in blood. He turns his face away from you." Now, even there, it was frowned upon, let's say. But in the Vedic time, during the time of the Treta Yuga, when they did animal sacrifice, Ashwamedha, Gomedha, and so on. Ashwamedha means horse sacrifice. Gomedha means cow sacrifice. But it was a mystical process by which the old animal would enter into the sacrificial fire and come out with a rejuvenated new body from the fire. And you may think, well, that sounds like it's impossible. And it is impossible in this age. So, in this age, we're in the Kali Yuga. In this age, animal sacrifice is forbidden. For that reason, because it's actually just animal slaughter in the name of religion. It's forbidden. In this age, you'll be hard pushed to find a priest that can light the sacrificial fire without a lighter. In previous ages, that was like first lesson, how to light the fire by mantra. If you can find a Brahmin in India that can do that, they'll consider him like a god today. But that was just, like priest 101 in previous ages, how to light the sacrificial fire by telling mantra, the fire will light. No one can even do that, so what to speak of performing all kinds of elaborate sacrifices. Then in the next age, Dwapara Yuga, the then great temple worship was the prescribed method of self-realization. And so many temples rose up in India that are still there today. But the worship in those temples was nothing like you can imagine today. It was hugely costly and lavish. If they want to offer one flower to the deity in the temple, then that would be offered on a solid gold plate, 24 karat gold if that's the purest. And then not that they'd wash that plate and use it again, it would be thrown. So you can imagine in a week how much that's going to cost to perform that kind of temple worship. Impossible in today for that kind of worship to be carried out. And so we come to Kali Yuga. That's today, the world that we live in today, Kali Yuga. It means it's typified by quarrel and hypocrisy. In this Kali Yuga, this Kali age, everyone is short-lived and troubled and a hypocrite. We can see that the last of the great Vedic sages, his name was Karabhajan Rishi, and in his teachings he says that when the leaders of society, means the kings or the ministers, the politicians, when they lie to the public, it causes such a vibration in the ether that the result of that is all kinds of plagues. So we can see, we're experiencing that. We just experienced that, right? A worldwide plague, you can say. A few years ago when we couldn't even go outside. So, there's a lot more to do with our leaders and their hypocrisy. They're the people that are meant to have the most trust in. And I saw on the television, when Boris was in power, when he was at a school, and a little schoolgirl, she asked him, "Have you ever lied in your political career?" She asked him, "Have you ever lied?" And of course, all the people that were with him, they all started laughing, and he was laughing also. And then he said, "No, I've never lied," and then everyone laughed even more. So, and because they accept, politician means liar, then these are the people who are supposedly have our best interests at heart and ruling the world for us. And quarrel. Everybody is fighting with everybody else. We can see we're on the brink of another world war, aren't we? Or with what's going on in the world, it's escalating all the time. Now that the head of the British Armed Forces is saying you're going to have to prepare for a war with Russia within the next 3 to 5 years. It's probably going to happen, and Mr. Putin is quite happy to throw nuclear missiles at us because the West won't respond. That's their thinking. So it's a kind of scary time. We're living in a scary time when all these things are happening. But it's just typical of the age that we live in, and believe it or not, it's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. So then we're living in these times. I can say from the youngest to the oldest of us in here and beyond, that none of us have lived a day where there hasn't been some war being waged in the world. And what's it all about? Borders, generally, isn't it? That's what they're fighting about. So, this is just typical of this age. the Kali Yuga age. And everyone's short-lived, nobody lives more than 100. If you live more than 100, you get a telegram from the king, don't you? I was going to say the queen, but now it's the king. Well done. There was a woman on the TV, she was 105. And they said, did you get your telegram from the queen? She said, yes, but it's just the same one every year. Just 5 of them now. So anyway, that's considered a big deal, right? If you live over 100. Then, and if you consider that probably half of that you're asleep, and then the rest of the time you're, doing all the things that we have to do, 8 hours of the day, doing some work that you don't like, and, having to associate with people that you wouldn't generally give them the time of day if you weren't forced to work with them. And, this is all very typical of the age that we live in. Quarrel, hypocrisy, and as the song says, there's the song, right there, only 3 things for sure: taxes, death, and trouble. And it's true, isn't it? We know that. We can all expect taxes, we can all expect to die, and we can all expect trouble in our lives. What can we do? So it says that this age, this Kali age, is an ocean of faults. But it has one great redeeming quality, and that is simply by performing the kirtan of Sri Krishna, you can attain the highest goal of life. Those things that were attained by thousands of years of meditation in Satya Yuga, by all kinds of elaborate sacrifices in the Treta Yuga, and by elaborate temple worship in Dwapara Yuga, all of that and more you can attain easily simply by performing Krishna Kirtan. Krishna Kirtan, it must be related with Krishna to have the full effect. Because Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We find this mentioned in many places, especially in the beginning of Brahma Samhita. This Brahma Samhita is a prayer by the Creator, Lord Brahma. And this is one chapter, actually, which was found by Lord Chaitanya in southern India. And there, very, very clearly, it's stated, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. Ishvara Parama Krishna, that the Paramishra, the supreme controller of everything, is Krishna. He's the Parameshvara. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchit Ananda Vigraha. That means he's the embodiment of truth, of consciousness, and of ecstasy. Satchit Ananda Vigraha. Vigraha means embodiment. Anadir Adir Govinda. He's the original transcendental cowherd boy. Sarva Karana Karanam. Sarva means everything. Karana Karanam. The cause of everything. He is the cause of everything in this world and all worlds. Sarva Karana Karanam. It is established that Krishna means God. Krishna means the divine, the all-powerful, omniscient God, whom the Christians call Jehovah, whom the Muslims call Allah, who, with different names in different religious practices, religious philosophies. But it is the same person, Krishna. We like that name, Krishna. Krishna means the all-attractive one. So that means that he's not an old man sitting in the cloud with a long beard, throwing thunderbolts on the wicked and showering blessings on the righteous. He's got better things to do than that. So rather than being the old man in the cloud, he's the ever youthful, young Navayovana, ever youthful, Supreme Lord. He's a boy around 16 years old, eternally. And he is the embodiment of truth and beauty. Satchidananda. We are also Satchidananda, is told. That every one of us, being part and parcel of Krishna, part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, coming from him, and we also have those qualities, Satchidananda. Sat meaning truth or eternity, and Chit, consciousness. I think, therefore I am. I exist, I'm conscious of my existence. And Anandam, bliss. And we can agree Sat and we can agree Chit, but bliss, where is bliss? Anandam. We're all looking for bliss, for Anandam, but we're looking in the wrong place because we're misguided, misinformed, misled. We're thinking that we can find bliss, Anandam, fulfillment, love, all of these things. We think we can find them out there somewhere. That we're incomplete and we need something or someone to complete us. But actually everything is existing within us already. So to exist, Sat, that's one thing, and Chit, to be conscious of that, but without any purpose. What is that? There must be a purpose, and that purpose is Anandam. No one can deny that. Whoever you are, everyone is looking for joy, happiness, fulfillment. Even the most wicked person that you might think of, they're also looking for happiness and joy and fulfillment in their life. But we're all looking in the wrong place. We're all looking, as Lord Jesus said, don't store your wealth where rust and decay will destroy it, but rather store your wealth in the house of the Lord. So that our wealth is Anandam. Srila Sridhar Maharaj, our Gurudev, he said, Anandam, ecstasy, bliss, that's the food of the soul. And we all need some food to live, but the soul also needs its food, and its food is Anandam, bliss. And where is that bliss? So Lord Chaitanya has come to give us that, the clue to that simply by chanting Krishna's holy name, performing kirtan of Krishna kirtan, that we can awaken that bliss which is already existing, you can say, like in a seed form within us. Help to awaken that, we can awaken to the inner fortune of our own soul, the inner prospect of our soul, through the chanting of Krishna's holy name. And actually any name of God, you can chant any name of God, but as we said, we like this name Krishna. We think that's the best name. The all-attractive one, and he is all-attractive. That beautiful, ever-fresh youth. We can see, right, that's what people covet, isn't it? That's what people covet. If you watch the television, every commercial break, there's an advert for some serum to make you young again, isn't there? It's got hydrochloric acid or hyaluronic acid or something. They make you look 10 years younger. And people go, oh yeah, I'll have some of that. And the tagline, of course, is, because you're worth it. Right? You're worth it, like, buy our product because you're worth it. And, then you can be 10 years younger. I think there's even a TV program, right, called 10 Years Younger, where they take someone who's usually some woman who's let herself go a bit, and they sort her out and make her look 10 years younger. And all her family go, wow, Mum, what happened? You look great. So this is what everyone covets, youth. People want youth. Then And of course, we can't maintain youth. Youth is a fleeting thing. But why we covet that is because in our original nature, we are unaging. We are eternal. We are full of bliss. Now, we only have to try and reconnect ourselves with that current. And that current's flowing all around us all the time. The spiritual current, the spiritual, you can say, good news. That current of spiritual news or spiritual treasure, it's flowing all the time around us. Just like radio waves, right? Now, so many radio waves flowing around us as we sit here. But we're not hearing anything, we're not conscious of it. But if you've got a proper receiver, transistor or DAB or whatever it is now, you can tune in to whatever your favorite music is. You can tune in and you can hear that. You just need to have the proper receiver to be able to do that. Maybe 200 years ago, if you'd have told people that, they'd have locked you up in a mental asylum, isn't it? You know, what are you on about, all these radio waves flying through the air, all these things. So, similarly, the spiritual current is always coming around us. And our Gurudev, Srila Govinda Maharaj, he always would say, you have to make yourself a proper receiver for that. If you make yourself a receiver, because you have that ability, feeling, thinking and willing, every one of us have that. And if we tune that in the right way, then we are able to become a receiver of that transcendental current, that transcendental vibration from the upper world. And that's always flowing there as a matter of grace. We just have to try and make ourselves a proper receiver of that. So our Param Guru, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he used to say, first deserve, then desire. So make yourself a proper receptacle. And that's what spiritual practice is meant for that. For awakening that within you. It's your own wealth, it's already there. It's just you have to tune into that. But there is something necessary on your part also to make yourself that proper receiver. And Lord Chaitanya also has given us the clue to that. In his Shikastakam, means 8 verses of instruction that he left behind. He only, from his own pen, if you like, wrote or gave us only those 8 verses. But from that, hundreds and hundreds of books have been written to explain that, to elucidate on that. And of those 8 teachings, or 8 verses, for us, perhaps the 3rd verse of that is the most important. Trinadapi sunichena taroriva suhishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya shadahari. If you want to be that fit recipient for Krishna Kirtan, you have to practice humility, tolerance and honouring all. And at the same time, not expect any honour for yourself. Now that means to be humble. We have to practice being humble, because it's not natural to us to be humble. We're all very puffed up and arrogant about who we think we are. We're all thinking that we're, deserving of some kind of, again, because you're worth it. It's all about your ego, isn't it? Massaging your ego, making you think that you're important in this world, but really you're not. None of us are really important in this world. And what to speak of in the world itself, perhaps not even very important. And in the scripture it says that this universe, or this world, is like a mustard seed in a sack of mustard seeds. There are a multitude of universes. So if you buy a sack of mustard seeds at the market, and you're carrying it home and some spill out, you won't stop to pick them up, will you? You just walk on by. Just a few, what does it matter? So similarly, in our universe, if it just went out, that wouldn't be any more significant than the mustard seed in the sack of mustard seeds. But still, we're thinking we're so important. And, then on this one tiny little blue planet, in this huge universe, which we can say, from our perspective, practically infinite universe. And within there's, a cluster of planets in this solar system. What's it? The Milky Way, is it? I don't know. But in this solar system, there's this little blue planet. And on this blue planet, there are some living beings. Like so many living beings. You can't count them. They're innumerable. Even amongst human beings, which is only a very small portion of the life on Earth, they're uncountable. You can't even, go to India and they can't count how many people are in India. They can't. There's so many people in India who are undocumented. They can't count all of them, Then how do you manage that? It's almost impossible. It's still there managing. And that's not unique. All over the world. Then you can give some estimate, but you can't really count how many people there are in the world. But amongst all of those people, there we are, and our ego's telling us, oh, you know what, I'm a very important person. In fact, I'm the center of my universe. And everyone's thinking that. Of my universe, I'm the top dog, I'm the center. They say you have to look after number one, and that's me. If I don't look after myself, who's going to look after me? Then. But inevitably, if everyone is the most important person in their universe, what happens when my universe clashes with your universe? There's going to be some conflict there. So, we try to make some harmony in the world, but ultimately we're not successful. And what is it that drives us to think we're so important? Is that our ego. Our ego. And everyone has ego. Ego means identity, like who you are. It's a Greek word. Who you are, your ego. But now we're laboring under a false ego. We're thinking that this body, this flesh and blood and bones and all the things that are going on in my head, all the thoughts that I have, all the opinions that I have, all of these things, that's me. I think that's me. That conglomerate of all of that, But that's a misidentification. That's a false ego. So we have to kind of tear down that false ego through knowledge, through proper knowledge. So our Gurudev used to say, why are we unable to see the smiling face of Krishna? Because separating me from him is a mountain range, a Himalayan mountain range of ego. No. It's huge, that ego. That ego has to be, chipped away at. And that can only be when we are able to find our real ego. And what is our real ego? Lord Chaitanya said again, Naham Vipro Narapati Napi Vaisho Nashudra Naham Vani Nachagriha Na Vanastir Jatirva Kintu Prajan Nikila Paramananda Punamritapte Gopi Bharta Pada Kamalayor Das Anudas. So he says, I'm not a priest, I'm not a king, I'm not a farmer, or I'm not a labourer, I'm not that. I'm not a celibate, I'm not a married person, I'm not a retired person, and I'm not a monk. I'm not any of those things. Then what I am? Simply I am the servant of the servant of the servant of the ever-expanding ocean of joy, the master of the gopis, Lord Krishna. That's my ego, Lord Chaitanya tells us. And not just his ego. We should also be trying to identify with that, trying to awaken that reality within us. And when we're able to see ourselves like that, then we'll be able to understand what is the difference between our real identity, our real ego, and our false ego. Srila Sridhar Maharaj says that within you is a golden self, noble, high, pure self, your soul. And he said, if once you'll meet your own self, you must feel ashamed. Oh, what I thought was me is so mean, so like rotten in comparison with my real self. You'll feel ashamed that I thought that was me. But that's all well and good. But mainly for us, it's a theory, philosophical theory. We can say, people tell us, yes, you're not the body. Yes, I'm not the body. But when I look in the mirror, I'm still thinking it's me. And in the practical world, when I look in the mirror, I need a shave, I need this, we still think that that's us. We still think that all these things that are going on inside our brain, inside our consciousness, that's who I am. But we're not that. So how to bring that from the theoretical plane to the plane of reality? Well, the recommended process for that is this chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, because it purifies the soul. The first verse of Lord Chaitanya's 8 verses of instruction, saying that the first, in there it says, the first effect of this Sankirtan, this chanting of Krishna's holy names in congregation, excuse me, the first effect of that is that it clears the mirror of our consciousness. Our consciousness has been described like a mirror. So the soul can perceive the soul. It can perceive itself. It can see itself. But at the moment, our soul's covered, that mirror of consciousness is covered with thick dust of misconception. Birth after birth after birth, we've had a misconceived idea about ourselves and about reality. And that covered our consciousness like thick dust. So if you find, looking in the attic and you find a mirror which is covered with years and years of dust, you won't be able to see your reflection in there properly. First you have to clean it. And this is the first step of Nam Sankirtan. Simply by this chanting of Krishna's holy names, the mirror of your consciousness will become cleansed, and you'll be able to perceive who you are. You'll be able to perceive your spiritual identity. That golden self within you will manifest, and the misconceived self will recede. We won't say that just like that it'll disappear and you'll be walking around like this spiritual Superman or something. No. It's a process. It's something that happens by degrees. So we can say that we've been practicing this for over 40 years now, and still we don't feel that there's anything better, that there's anything that comes close to it. Now, back in the 1960s, 70s, when we first became interested in Krishna consciousness, people, and not so much here, but especially in America, people thought that devotees of Krishna, that it was like a mind-bending, dangerous cult to be part of that. And they had people who were employed as deprogrammers. They would kidnap people that became devotees of Krishna, and work on them to try and break their conditioning. It was a thing. Now when people say Hare Krishna, oh yeah, that's the face of Orthodox Hinduism in the UK at least. If you're a politician, then you want to carry and forgive the expression, carry the Indian vote. Where do you go? You go to Bhaktivedanta Manor and put a garland on Prabhupada there, and they say, look, Rishi Sunak was at the Bhaktivedanta Manor. Oh, Boris Johnson was at Bhaktivedanta Manor. Oh, yeah, so maybe we should vote for them. And Keir Starmer, he also went there. They gave him a cookbook because at least he's a lifetime vegetarian. Anyhow, so but back in the day when we joined, like my mother and my family, they thought I'd gone crazy, joining this cult, and fortunately they didn't send anybody to kidnap me. Although my father was kind of keen on the idea for a while, but anyway, there was one of these deprogrammers who he was very famous, and he said they just become brainwashed by this constant chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, but you might as well be chanting Coca-Cola, 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 and I can say give it a try, try and chant Coca-Cola. Within an hour, I can guarantee you'll be wanting to smash your head on a wall. But we've been chanting Hare Krishna for over 40 years, and we feel some sublime and wonderful benefit from that. When one of our leaders of our mission, Bhakti Sudhir Goswami Maharaj, he was a long time ago. He's giving a lecture at, not a lecture exactly, but some kind of interfaith conference, and there was another Swami was there from India, and that Swami said in his talk, he said, so just like when you taste something very nice, then you become silent. This was his purport about spiritual life. And then when Goswami Maharaj got up to speak, he said, actually, I don't want to disagree with my learned friend, but my experience is when you taste something very nice, you want to tell other people about it, isn't it? If there's someone with you that you care about, did you try that? You've got to try. It's amazing. You've got to try that. So that's our experience. We want to share that with others. So kind of personally, I'm not keen on the word preaching, because it has that kind of Catholic guilt kind of thing attached to it. The mad guy standing outside the train station. Have you bathed in the blood yet? And all of that. Okay, so. But rather than preaching, we feel it's more like we want to share what we have with others. What we've experienced, we want to share that with others. And so, I can say to you all that I can, in a little while, we'll go and take some prasadam, sanctified vegetarian food. And there may be something there, I think maybe there's a cake or something. And so I can say to you all, this is the best cake you're ever going to taste. And you may think, well, yeah, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But until and unless you yourself have a taste of it, you won't know, will you? You can't just rely on what that guy said, So similarly, we can say to you, and it is our profound conviction, that this practice of chanting Hare Krishna, it's the best thing that you can ever do in your life. It's transformative. It's awakening. It's gives us fulfillment in life. And I can tell you that till I'm blue in the face. But unless and until you try it yourself, you won't know. If I'm just saying that, or I'm just a brainwashed guy chanting, might as well be chanting Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola. You've got to give it a try yourself, not just, oh yeah, I tried it for a couple of hours wasn't for me. No, consider it, and there's something more than just guys in bed sheets running up and down Oxford Street, chanting in the street. There's a reason behind that, and it's a profound reason, and it's a deep reason, and it is the key to unlocking the wealth of your own soul, to awakening your inner self and finding the real what's the word I'm looking for? Fulfillment of your life, the real treasure of your life. It's already yours. It's already within you. You just have to tap into it, awaken that, make yourself a proper receiver for that, and it'll come to you. It'll flow into you, and you'll find that. So someone might say, well, you've been chanting Hare Krishna for 40 years. Have you seen Krishna? And I won't say that I've seen Krishna, but I've seen enough to know that there's nothing else. There's nothing else of real value in this world. Everything else is just a passing show. The only reality is the inner reality, the spiritual reality of your own soul. That's the only thing that's actually worth pursuing. And it's not just like, a luxury, something that you do on the weekend or something. It's something that is necessary for you to give your energy for. Like in this world, right? If you want to become a doctor or a lawyer or something like that, and that's as your profession, how much of your life do you have to sacrifice for that? You don't just roll up and say, okay, give us a stethoscope and point me to the first patient, do you? You have to study a lot, and you have to practice a lot before we all know what it means, how much you have to give of yourself to become a qualified doctor or a lawyer or anything. So why should we think that spiritual life will require anything less of us? In fact, it requires more of us, because while you're practicing your spiritual life, you've still got to deal with this material world, haven't you? You've still got to be a doctor or a nurse or a lawyer or a dustbin man or whatever it is that you do to make your way in the world. And it's not like either or. We're not saying, give up everything and come and shave your head and put on the robes of a monk. Maybe that's for some people, but for most people, they have to deal with the reality of this world too. And so we have to understand that it's not a luxury. Spiritual practice isn't a luxury, but it's an imperative. If you want to be able to function in this world in a harmonious way, to rise above all the dross that you find in this material world, all of the quarrel and hypocrisy of this world, you have to, know who you are, first of all. You have to know why you exist, what your purpose in life is. And through this chanting, you can discover that, awaken that within you. So, that's our proposal. We're asking everybody to at least consider that. Consider it. We're not just crazy people. We have some reason behind what we do, and we want to share. And there's no price for that. You don't have to enroll and give us all your money. You can if you want to, but there's no requirement for that. It's because it's yours already. It's your property already. We're not going to charge you to come and find out about that. Come and find out about it, because as we found out about it, and see if it's the best cake that you'll ever taste. We think it is. So anyway, does anyone have a question? Yes, right.
You said that everything of what we're doing has a meaning, right?
Mm.
Like the clothes that we are wearing, those when we bow down on the floor, it has a meaning, right?
Yeah.
It might appear very weird for people who see it for the
For
first
sure.
time.
Yeah.
And probably the weirdest thing that appeared to these people is that this statue over there. Can
Yeah.
you tell us what it is, please? Because I remember first time I came to the temple, I found everything super weird, and
Yeah.
that was for me like they are worshipping idols.
Yeah.
For sure, this is too weird, and I left. I didn't want to hear about it at all
Yes.
anymore.
Yeah, we kind of shy away from that idea of idolatry, first of all. But many times you'll go, and I have to say, I'm sorry to say, but you go to many Hindu temples, they refer to the deity as an idol, at the idols in the temple. But we don't like that word, idol.
Definitely not.
An idol means something that's
Horrible.
material being worshipped as something spiritual. There's that example, isn't it, of if you were raised as a Christian, you'll remember when Moses goes up the mountain to receive the commandments. When he comes back down, all the people, all the Israelites, they're worshipping a statue of a cow, golden statue of a cow, and he breaks the tablets like they're not ready for this. It's too much for them. Goes back up again. Can you give something a little bit less, bit of concession there? So idolatry means that it's a kind of anthropomorphic idea that we can worship something material as something spiritual. So we don't accept that. But what we accept is that at least in our you can say beginner stage, and we're all beginners, even those of us who have been around 40 plus years practicing, we're still beginners. But for the beginner, the deity is emblematic of the divine. So we can say, this statue of Lord Chaitanya, it's an emblem of Lord Chaitanya. So just like if you go to somebody's house, right, and they've got a photo of grandma on the cupboard there, and you say, who's that? Oh, that's grandma. Oh, she looks nice. She's They don't say, that's not grandma, that's just pigment and color and some paper. And why are you saying that's grandma? Nobody thinks that, do they? You think, it's not grandma, but it represents grandma. It's a very good representation of grandma, right? Photograph. So similarly, when the ancient sages, they desired a vision of God, then he revealed himself to them. And they wrote that down, or conveyed that to, you can say, artists who made that, sculptor who made that form, that divine form. We don't say that God is formless. God has a form, but not a material form like you and I, changing all the time. It's immutable and spiritual. He has his spiritual form, and that's eternal. And when he revealed that to the seers, the ancient seers, they told that, and a description has been given. Oh, he looks like this, he stands like this, he plays the flute, Krishna, and describing him, and the sculptor made that, or the artist painted that. So we can say it's emblematic of that. You go to especially in the Catholic Church particularly, go to the Catholic Church, there's the Virgin Mary is there, then Christ is there, you see. It's an emblem. So we can say icon. It's an icon, and in the real sense of the word icon, not something on your computer. But icon in its original form means something holy, a holy form, if you like. So, and by that helps us to concentrate our meditation on that form. We live in a world of form. And so the Lord also has his form, but his form is transcendental. So we can say, yes, It's an emblem of Krishna. But Krishna also, he accepts our service through that form. According to the scripture, when that form has been endowed, you can say, in a particular way, through a particular process, then which is approved by him, then he manifests in that form, and he accepts our service through that form. And according to one's realization, one's inner awakenment, one will see the Murti or Sri Murti or the deity in different ways. So the beginner can say, this is an emblem of our Lord Chaitanya who gave us Krishna consciousness, who taught that to us. And in many temples we have also Radha and Krishna, who are the emblem of the divine couple, the male and female aspects of divinity. Something like that. There's a book written by one of our previous spiritual masters called Jaiva Dharma. Jaiva Dharma means the religion of the soul. And in there's a conversation between the Muslim priests and the devotees in Navadvip. So they want to come and debate. The mullahs want to debate with the Vaishnava devotees. And so it's agreed, and one representative from each comes. And the representative of the Muslims, the Muslim priest, mullah, he says, you say that your Lord Chaitanya, he has made the Hindu religion perfect. Then if that is so, why have you not given up the practice of idol worship? That's the question they ask. Then, I think his name's Paramahansa Babaji or Vaishnava Babaji, I forget which. But anyway, he's the chosen representative of our faith, and he says to him two things. First of all, he says, to deny the worship of an idol is to deny one's spiritual progress in life. He said, so what does that mean? That if an uncultured or uncivilized person, let's say in India they call them Adivasis, means like native people who live in the jungle, right? So maybe they see something like the sun and they think that's God. Or Bhaktivinoda gives the example, or maybe they see a strange animal they've never seen before, like a cat or something, and they think that must be a god, we should worship it. So that worship, you can say it's idolatry, because they're mistaking something mundane to be something spiritual. He said, but if you deny them that, then you deny their progress, their spiritual progress, because spiritual life is progressive. So their object is wrong, but their idea is right. The idea is that there's something more than me that's worthy of my worship. And so they ascribe something to that. Like when Moses came down, they were worshipping a golden calf or something, So it's an idol, but the idea is right. And said, if they are sincere, then God will give them the inner inspiration in their heart to find the proper worship. That's the first thing. And second thing is, he describes, like I said, that the ancient seers, they prayed for a vision of God. God revealed himself in this way, and that was translated by sculptors, by artists, painters, and so on. They made that emblematic form of the Lord. So that's not idolatry. Idolatry means just something you imagined as being God. So this is something that was revealed. This is his transcendental form, like that. So then they translate that. So everything is coming from him. So if all the elements like marble or paint or all these things are also coming from him as part of his potency, he can manifest in that way if he wants to. Again, if we refer back to the Bible, he manifested to Moses as a burning bush, right? He showed himself as a burning bush. So he can reveal himself in any way that he wishes to. So then he turns the question back and asks the Muslim priest, then how do you think we should worship God? And the priest says, we should worship God in the mind. Then his reply to that is, then is the mind material or spiritual? He says the mind's material. Then how can you conceive of anything spiritual with something material? So what you're doing, in effect, is you're thinking of that God is something vast and like space or ether or the sky or something like that, and which is the most subtle thing that you can imagine or you can conceive of, and then you're making an idol out of that and worshipping that. So what's the difference? It's the same thing. So then yes, it is a little bit difficult for us to understand to begin with, but we're not saying that God is a statue, or that the statue is God. But we say that God can reveal Himself through that. If we can understand philosophy through a book, revealed truth through the book, is it these letters and things in there that? No, it's the idea that's conveyed behind that, isn't it? If you can tell time from a clock, the clock isn't time, but the clock is giving us an indication of time. So similarly, then through a painting or a sculpture or so on, God can express Himself to us. We can understand the, can say, at least emblematic form of the Lord, and it gives us some way of being able to relate to Him. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, if you offer me a fruit, a flower, a leaf, water, I'll accept that. So how do we offer that? Who do we offer that to? How do we conceive of Krishna? So when we go to offer something to Krishna, we have to have some conception of that, right? So if we want to, remember Grandma after she's passed away, we look at her photograph, isn't it? Oh yeah, that's Grandma, do you remember her? Oh, she was so kind, and it invokes in us some feelings of that. So similarly, the form of the Lord, which has been described by the Scripture, it invokes some higher feeling in us for that. When I was some years ago, I had a little vegetarian restaurant in South London, and down from our restaurant, like 2 shops down, there was a grocery store which was called the Afghan store, and it was run by an Afghani family, and they knew that we were like Hare Krishna devotees, and because we had some pictures in the restaurant and so on. And so sometimes if I needed, a bag of frozen peas or some oranges or something, I'd go down to the shop, to the Afghan store, and buy it from there. And the mother, she was often there more than anyone else. The old lady, she was there, and I came through the door one day, and she was serving some people. I said, "Hello," I said to her, and she said, instead of saying, hello back, she just said immediately, she said, "Your religion is wrong." And I said, "Oh, how do you know our religion is wrong?" And she said, "Because you worship idols." And I said, "No, we don't worship idols, we worship Krishna." And she said, "Oh, who's Krishna?" And I said, "Krishna's Allah." And she said, "Oh, what do you mean? What do you mean?" And I said, have you ever read Bhagavad Gita? "No, I've never even heard of it." I said, "So you've never heard of Krishna and you've never heard of Bhagavad Gita, but you're saying your religion is wrong. Then how can you say that if you don't know even anything about it?" Then I asked her, "Have you been on the Hajj?" And she said, "Oh yes, many times." If you don't know what that is, when they go on their pilgrimage, the Muslims, they must go at least once in their life to Mecca, and they circumambulate there the Kaaba. It's called the Kaaba, that big building. They dress it, they kiss it, they worship it. I said to her, is that Kaaba, is that Allah? And she said, no, it's not Allah. I said, so why are you worshipping it? Isn't that an idol? And she said, no, it's not an idol. You don't understand. And I said, yes, you're right, I don't understand. But just as I don't understand what that symbolizes, I'm not going to say that your religion is wrong because I don't understand it. At least let me try and understand it. So similarly, it's immediately saying your religion is wrong. Why? Because you worship idols. But no, we don't worship idols, we worship Krishna. So, worshipping idols may also be, like worshipping pop stars or film stars, and plenty of people worship them, don't they? That's idolatry. That's really idolatry. We worship the divine principle and how that's embodied, and that is that emblem is there in the Srimurti. So we don't like to refer to the deity as an idol, because an idol suggests that it's something made up. So I don't know if that answers your question, but some idea. We need to have a proper conception of what we're doing, That's called Sambandha Gyan. Sambandha Gyan means the knowledge of what is what. Knowledge of who am I, first thing. Who am I? Who is God? What is this world? And what is our relationship with all of those things? That's called Sambandha Gyan. So we got books and books and books and many devotees who can tell us about those things. And it's necessary for us. We're not to be blind followers. God has given us a brain and some discrimination. We can understand something by His grace. We can't understand everything. That's the first thing, When our Guru Maharaj, he gave a lecture at the Arya Samaj in India, and one of the leaders there, after the lecture, he came up to Guru Maharaj and he said, if the finite, us, can know the infinite, then that's not infinite. So, which is true, the finite cannot know the infinite. But Guru Maharaj, his reply was, he said, immediately I said to him, if the infinite cannot make himself known to the finite, then he's not infinite. So by capacity, we have no capacity to understand what is infinite. But infinite means that he has infinite potency. And as part of that, he can reveal himself to us. So, and Guru Maharaj gives us this example. He says, like in this room now, maybe there's an ant running around here. And that ant has no awareness of us. If he comes up to us, he sees we're just something that he has to go under or over or around, right? He doesn't see us as other living beings. But if I see him and I reach down and touch him, then he may have someone's touching me, some experience of that. So although we can't understand God or the infinite, if he reaches down and touches us, we may have some God is touching me. Some experience may fill us up. And just a drop of that is enough for us to drown in that spiritual current. It's all by grace. By God's grace, we can understand Him. We are allowed to understand something about Him. Otherwise, we're lost. So, any other question? Or shall we can do arti now. Huh?
What is this arti for the people who can't
So, yes, arti is a ceremony. It's an ancient ceremony. Every temple in India, you will see this ceremony being performed. And it's where things which represent the elements of the creation are offered to the Lord. So the first thing is incense. So that represents the fragrance of the earth, the element of earth, and then water, and then there's a cloth, and then fire is offered. The lamp, that's the element of fire, and then flower, again representing the earth, and then the fans, which represent air, and the bell, the ringing of the bell, which represents the ether, and the blowing of the conch shell. So these are all ways of offering the elements that make up the creation back to the Creator. This ceremony is called arati, and arati is always accompanied by kirtan, the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. And our Guru Maharaj said actually that the kirtan is the all-important part of arati. Without the kirtan, you can put a tape recording on or something if you want to, but without the kirtan, Guru Maharaj said it may just be waving around some burning sticks. The kirtan is the life of the arati. Without the kirtan, then the whole ceremony is incomplete. So that's what we'll do now. Arati. And Nitai Chand or Birachandra Prabhu will sing the Arati song. So we'll just wait for the priest or priestess. And also, especially the offering of the lamp, that used to be how they would show the deity to the people. And you go in the temple, before there was electric lights, then they would show. First they show the feet, then they show the legs and the navel, and then the chest, and then the lotus face of the Lord, and then all with the lamp. It's a very beautiful thing, beautiful tradition. Jai Jai.
Jai Shri Krishna. Raja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Raja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Yasomati Nandana Vajavaruna Gara Gokula Rangana Khana. Yasomati Nandana Gopikarana Dhana Madana Manohara Kaliya Damona Vidhana. Gopikarana Dhana Madana Manohara Kaliya Damona Vidhana. Bolo Amala Harina Mamiya Vilasha. Amala Harina Mamiya Vilasha. Amala Harina Mamiya Vilasha. Amala Harina Mamiya Vilasha. Avidina Purana